Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to here with you today. My name is Shimara, and I'm here with my beautiful friend and dear teacher, Ishtar. And you guys have seen me online talking about the path of life and inviting me to join me. So I thought, what best way to actually talk about the path of life that with Ishtar, that was the creator. She has been an Ascended Master channel for the last 15 years, gifted since she was a child. And like all of us, she went through her whole awakening process until she was able to master her channel and connect deeper with her gifts and with her soul and purpose mission for this incarnation. So, Ishta, thank you so much for being here with us. We'll really, really appreciate it. So, yeah, tell us about the path of light. What is the path of light? How did you create the path of light, please? Thank you.
Well, the Path of Light is the first level of the Master's Way, which is a school that I created quite a long time ago with the Ascended Masters. And it came out of 6 years of channeling every week for a group. And the Masters, channeling the Masters, of course, and channeling their wisdom. So the Path of Light is the first step into consciousness of learning how to use your light, your energy, to manifest what is in the highest potential for you. And so it has a lot of foundational work in it that helps you to align your light, which is your conscious energy that we use on the earth to manifest our dreams at times, our guidance, our potential to be all that we can be.
Beautiful, excellent. As obviously you're aware, I just finished teaching the first Path of Light a couple of months ago. And, it was a beautiful journey with 80 students who, it was just such a humbling experience because, I truly saw them grow and, just those shifting consciousness that will really allow them and empower them to create different choices and different lives for themselves. Some people have the questions about the path of light and they just wonder if this is, an introductory course for someone that is just in the path, in the spiritual path, or this is someone that has been, in the path of light for a while and the path of, spirituality for a while, or even, someone that has been 10, 20 years on the path. What would you say to that? Because I feel it's for everyone, but what would you say?
It is for everyone. But it's very good for people who are starting on the path because, yes, it takes you very deep and at times it can be challenging, but the spiritual path can be challenging at times until your heart opens to yourself. And so when the heart is not yet open to the self, then things come up and of course that will challenge you. But the Master's Way teaches you how to open your heart to yourself so that as challenges do come up, the more you open your heart, then to yourself, then the easier they become. So yes, at first there is a few challenges, but what I'm going to say to you is on the journey, it is about self-mastery. It is about learning tools. And this is what this course is all about. It gives you the tools to come into mastery in your life, spiritual mastery. But what is spiritual mastery? It's not about something you do over there for an hour a week. It is something you do in every moment in your life. Spiritual mastery is about coming into mastery of the spiritual being that you are. And each one of us is a spiritual being. No matter who or what we are, we're all made of spirit. We all come from spirit. And so this is teaching us to come into the mastery of that truth and to bring it into our lives. And we do it in a very practical way in this course. And that's why the Path of Light is always the first level, because it shows us how to work with our light in our lives and how to work with energy that brings us into limitation, that creates fear, that triggers us, that challenges us, and what to do about that so that we can find more grace in our life and not struggle so much and not be in suffering so much. So this is why the Path of Light is so important, because it brings it into your everyday life through the work and through the tools that we offer.
I gotta completely agree with you, and I'm just so happy to actually be teaching something like this because, out there's a lot of courses that are quite, they call themselves spirituals, and they're beautiful concepts and teachings, but exactly people don't really know how to ground that in their daily lives. Like they don't really know how to apply those teachings in their daily life. And what I found with these well, with a lot of your teachings, really, and certainly with this course, is that exactly there are tools, there are processes that allow us to take these teachings and actually work with them, embody them, exercise them, test them. And then it's through that work, through those homeworks that we receive every week, that really we grow. Because as you said, it's not an hour, a 3 hours course, and then go and do your life like,
Mm.
like
Mm.
before. It's about applying the concepts, and it's through those amazing homeworks and questions in the homeworks that people really get to really, discover who they are, discover where their limitations are, what belief systems, what sort of fears have been holding them back. And as you know, this is sometimes things that we are conscious about it, but most of the time we are unconscious about it. And what I love through this course is that, the activations and the teachings of the masters kind of illuminate, awaken those sort of old memories, or even, childhood experiences where we created those belief systems that have been, self-sabotaging us for our whole
Yeah.
life.
Mm. And we don't often understand how powerful those things are, how powerful past life memories are, how powerful our childhood memories are, how powerful even the stories that we tell ourselves they are, and how they can limit us and block us in our life. But more importantly, how they actually cause us pain and suffering. They cause us to struggle. And we don't have to struggle in life. This is not why we're here. We're not here to struggle, and we're not here to suffer. We're here to learn, to explore, to become all that we can be. And this is what this course is all about, to give us those tools, to give you the freedom to do that, the freedom to become all that you are here to be in this incarnation. And what I love about this school is that you're going to work with a teacher. We have our beautiful Shimara here. Now, Shimara has done so much work. And as you can hear from him speaking, he has been through this course, and he's been through other courses. He has actually done the spiritual work, and he will take you into a really deep place, because that's where he loves to be as well. And so he will be able to assist you to come into that deep place if you allow him to do that. And that, of course, is up to you. But he does know that deep place, and he can channel his higher consciousness to assist and support you. So, that's the training that he's done. So he hasn't just done a weekend course. Shimara's done many, many years, not just with me, with other teachers. So I know the depth that he can take you if you're willing to go to that depth. And so it's not just Shimara, though, who's your teacher. You also have the Ascended Masters. Now, there is a council of 33 Ascended Masters that oversoul or guide this work. And they have created this work. And the whole way it flows, or the tools that have given, has not come from my mind, it's come from their wisdom. So as soon as you sign up for this work, they start to work with you. And sometimes they'll challenge you and they'll push you in the back and say, hey, pulse you to go forward. Other times they just hold you. Other times they're there for you, they hold your hand. Other times they'll come and gift you what you need, if you are open to it. And I keep saying that. The choice is yours, whether you open or not. No one can do that for you. But when you do open, so much is given to you. So much is given to you. And then, of course, the other teachers in this course, we do spend quite a bit of time sharing about the homework and the experiences. So you're not doing this course alone. You're doing it with a group of 33 Ascended Masters. You're doing it with Shimara, your teacher and facilitator, and you're doing it with a group of students just like you, who really want to grow and come into their self-mastery on their spiritual journey. And in this sharing, you get to hear about their experiences and how they've seen something, and what their aha has been. And you learn from that as well. And every teacher of this, and we have 30 teachers around the world, every teacher that shares like this with their students always tells me they learn so much from their students. And I know the students also learn, because they're hearing from each other. Oh, I hadn't thought of it like that. Oh, maybe I'll try that. Maybe that might work for me. I'll try that as well. So they're getting wisdom from students as well. So there's so many places where you are supported with this work to bring it into your life, and so that you can live a life that is free of limitations, old stories, blocks, pain, suffering. And that's the whole purpose of this course.
That's beautiful, Risha. And thank you so much for your beautiful words. I'm here, and all my growth have been in big part thanks to you. So I'm deeply grateful. Thank you, darling. That's why I'm so passionate about, sharing your teachings, because by experience, they're truly
Yeah.
transformational. And they really, as you said from the beginning, it's all about coming back to the heart, right? To that beautiful threefold flaming within our heart that holds the spark of divinity, that love, that light, that inner wisdom, that truth, not from our ego, from our heart, connected with our soul and higher consciousness. And I think it's very important what you were just saying before, because a lot of people like to do things by themselves, and that's viable. We all have done it. But what I've found is that, in group consciousness, in a safe container, we grow so much faster and sometimes even more grateful. And, the sharing of the homeworks, as you said, is divine reflections, because, group consciousness, we're all working, but everyone is working. We're all receiving the gift that the masters are giving us. And in truth, it's just such a powerful place. A lot of the shifts, as you just mentioned, happen through the homework sharing.
It does.
And yes, of course, it is work, but, we came here to this lifetime, as we said, yes, to have fun, as the masters have said, live with the eyes of children. Like if you were children, to play, to wonder, to, be innocent and just discover, that everything is just for our own good. But also we came here to, clear some karma and awaken and be more the masters that we already are. And that requires some consistency, some self-discipline, some, what I really call self-love. And those homeworks are there to assist us with that. And personally, I really grow through the homeworks. I think if they were not the homeworks, I would probably be struggling to, gather the manuals and checking again and watching the recordings. But with the homework, it's just the easiest way to really just apply the concepts, review the concepts, and just take them into my life and take them out there and test them, as I said before. So thank you. So it's 30 lessons. There's a lot of introduction chapters at the beginning and at the end of the manual for us to go and dive at the beginning of the course, at the end, throughout the course. What I love about this is that, you give the students a channel. And in that channel, 3 masters are assigned to them, 1 for each level. I know, I love it. I had it here as well to show it to everyone, because
I just wanted to show the manual. Yeah,
manual.
It's a manual full of wisdom,
I know, it's thick and delicious and high in frequency.
Yeah.
And the students, each one get a channel of what they are focused on, what their gifts are for them. And I think that's just so potent, because, it's not like a manual and a course for everyone, but, there is that personification for each one to really grow and work something on, right?
Yeah. When you're talking about the homeworks, I was remembering a few years back, one of the students called the homeworks changing life work, because that's what it does. It changes your life if you do it. And so we've sort of adopted that phrase now. Instead of homework, we call it changing life work, because they're actual tools to implement what you've learned in the class into life and practice them and see how it works for you. Because, there's all sorts of tools you can get and all sorts of things you can learn. But then when you start to put them into your life, you actually begin to see what happens when you do that and how powerful it is. And that's why it's called changing life work, because it is changing life work. It really does do that for you. But, I really recommend this course to anyone who really maybe has been swimming on the surface of spiritual work for a while and really wants to take a deep dive and really connect with their truth in their heart. And also be willing to open your heart to receive. If you come to this work with your heart closed or your mind closed and you don't really want to open your heart to receive something new, you will be challenged and you will find it difficult. But if you come with an open heart and you really are choosing to make a shift in your life, then this work will open you up. I can't tell you how much it will open you up. And look, this work has been around the world now. We teach it in 2 languages, English and French, and it's been taught around the world now for 8 years. And we have seen hundreds of students go through this work, and every one of them will tell you when they have dived into this work, they have seen massive change in themselves and in their lives.
Thank you. And I have witnessed it.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful what you just said, it's about an open heart and humble mind. And also, as we were saying, to use the will that we have that have been given to us in this lifetime to work on our path, on our beautiful light, and to integrate those beautiful parts of us that are in separation and limitation, limiting our growth. Some people call it part, some people call it aspect work, some people call it shadow work. In truth, it's all about integrating those divine parts of us that, as we know, they're of light, and they will come back to the heart when they are ready, when we have assisted them. So I love the way that we work with those parts in here. Is gentle, but it's firm, and there's levels of it. And, through the processes, we got the beautiful heart temple where we go and do all our processes. Would you like to share with us about the heart temple, how special that place is for people that haven't connected with that yet?
Yeah. Look, the shadow aspect work, it's the old memories and it's parts of our consciousness. We're a very large being, by the way. We're not just this small being. We're a very large spiritual being. And on all our journeys, whether they be on the earth or in any other place in the galaxy, we've created memories, and often we've created stories, and parts of our consciousness get trapped in those stories. And that's what causes what people call the shadow or the aspect or whatever. But it's simply a consciousness trapped in a story that's no longer serving us. And how do we release it? We need to bring that story back to divine truth. And the divine truth is that we are pure light. We are the essence of source. We are the essence of God's self. And really come into that realization that the God self is within us, not outside of us, but it's within us. And it's really understanding that. So part of the work, part of the tools the masters gave us was a meditation that takes us into the heart temple. We offer this meditation, but once you've learned it and done it, then you'll sort of flow with it in your own way, where we bring this consciousness to the heart temple of the presence of the divine within us, the divine presence. And we ask that consciousness that's trapped in whatever story it's trapped in, whatever energy that's creating limitation, to come and sit in that place and receive divine light and divine love, to be purified again back to the original consciousness from where it began, which of course was pure light, because we all begin from pure light. So we're bringing it back to pure light. And yes, sometimes we have many layers of that consciousness and only one layer will come in at a time. But sometimes it's very easy, once it comes in, it just releases. And the more we release that old consciousness, it's causing us to be heavy, to be limited, to be blocked, to believe that we can only focus on that shadow energy and not on our divine light, the more we're free to be our truth. And this, in essence, is what this is all about, is to be free to be our truth and live that truth on the earth instead of focusing on what is not our truth.
To be the powerful creators that we are.
That's right.
The divine children of souls.
Yeah.
What will you say about people that will wonder what's the difference between this course and the courses that are out there? So we already talked about, having a council of 33 masters. This is not something that is out there.
No.
And what about frequency as well?
Yeah. Well, there's very few courses out there that are guided and created by a council of 33 ascended masters. And, this is through the deep embodied channel of my being and all the work that I've done with those masters. And I'm sure there are courses out there that have channeled at some stage and offer, lots of great things. And everything is relevant, and what you're pulled to will be what you're pulled to. But if you really want to lift your vibration to another frequency, because this is all about frequency work, and I will say that there's not a great deal of frequency work out there, which is asking you to actually expand your vibration and to hold that expansion, not to keep dropping back into the lower vibration all the time, and to become conscious and aware of when you are in higher vibration and when you are in the lower vibration, not in judgment, but simply in awareness. so that you can understand how to expand yourself again. And the masters talk about enlightenment as being something that is constant motion. It's not climbing a mountain and getting to the top and then we're all enlightened. No, that is not the truth of enlightenment. The masters speak about enlightenment as being filling yourself with light. And in that moment, when you are allowing yourself, and that means allowing yourself to be filled with light, then you are enlightened and you are expanded, and your vibration, your frequency, your resonance will lift itself to the level that you're capable of lifting to in that moment. And then you might drop down into the ego and the personality in the coming hours, and that's fine. And then you can stop again when you're ready, maybe the next day or the next week, and breathe again and expand and lift your vibration and step into enlightenment again and have clarity. And every time you do that, you get more wisdom, you get more clarity. Your vibration, your whole body, every part of you begins to expand and to realize its truth. And the more and more you do that, the more and more enlightened you become. The more and more filled with pure light you become. And that's a journey. And this is what this is all about, the journey of enlightenment.
It is a journey. A journey that truly, the frequency and the sisters of the masters seem to really support and accelerate. And sometimes, as you said, it's grateful. And sometimes we go back into our stories and into our victimhood and into our belief systems. But what I feel is that it's kind of like that memory muscle, because the light is already there to a certain degree and it's being expanded. It's easier to come back to that place of expansion, of humility, of, acceptance of how did I create this? What is the lesson of this? What is the consciousness? What do I need to shift? And then let's keep moving forward.
That's it. That's it. Exactly.
Beautiful. So frequency. So what is frequency? Because, we use a lot the term frequency and raise your vibration. But these teachings, when we are reading just the teachings, when we hear those amazing, powerful activations that we haven't talked about them yet, it's full of frequency, very high vibrational work. Do you want to share a little bit with people that perhaps just have heard the word but not really connected with how that feels or what that can create within our lives?
I'm an embodied channel, so when the masters speak through me, they bring frequency through. I step aside and they start to speak and they bring through their frequency. And often they've told me that, I could really say blah, 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 and just let the frequency come through. But we need the breath and the words for me to hold that portal open. But while we're talking about frequency, we need resonance or vibration. We can measure vibration. You can measure the vibration of a radio signal. Everything has waves of energy because everything is energy. Every single thing, you and I are energy. Everything's energy. No matter what it is we touch, it has a vibration of energy. Now, in the third dimension, the energy can be very dense, and we are spiritual beings in our original core is a very high frequency. And we come into this sort of funnel of the physical body in the density of the earth, and we discover there's a lot of limitation in that physical self. And the spirit struggles with that because it's not always used to that. And so we also understand that the earth is a magnetized planet. That means it's magnetized. So in a magnetic field, there is always polarity, and we can get very trapped in that polarity because one or the other. We're always on this seesaw all the time when we live on the earth. And yet when we come into our center and we really connect with that spiritual self, that higher consciousness of our being that holds that higher frequency, it can lift us out of that polarity because we need to come here, not out there into it. So it's about raising your frequency to meet the higher frequency of your own being, because there's this part of you that's come here into the physical body that gets lost in the density. And so we need to remind that part of its truth and its connection to all that it is. And so it can raise that vibration to meet that truth more and more. And the masters always say, if you really want to meet your higher consciousness, you actually have to raise your frequency to about fifth dimensional vibration so it can meet you. You know, if you're working with a 12th vibrational being, you need to come up a bit in your vibration to meet it, because you're going to find it a real struggle to do it in the 3rd dimensional vibration. So because it's too dense. So you need to lift that. And it's really hard to lift your vibration if you've got a lot of what we call shadow consciousness sitting in your field, which is why we spend a lot of time helping to bring that shadow consciousness back to its original truth, so that your field is clearer and clearer and there are no longer those limits and boundaries. But once again, as I keep saying, to do this work, you need to come to it with an open heart, a willingness to really open up to meet what is brought to you by spirit, by the masters, for you to work with, so that you can lift your frequency to a new level of being.
Beautiful, powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Ishtar. I love that. And, you know, as this course says, you know, it's a self-mastery course. So it's about, you know, teachings, activations, processes that will help us to be those masters that we already are.
That's right.
And to have, you know, a more, don't really want to use power, but a more responsible use of our own energy, of our own consciousness. And what I've seen with my students and with other students from other people is that, you know, people are able to really step away from their stories and from their belief systems. A lot of us, by experience, you know, I have been a victim of circumstances, of my upbringing, of the conditioning of family, of, you know, my countries where I've lived. But in truth, you know, everything has been there for a reason, to assist us to grow. We have created and manifested those circumstances consciously or unconsciously, again, for our own growth. But through the path of light and through the processes and teachings, it's kind of, it reminds us that we have the power to shift the things, to change the things, to create an amazing, joyful life for us and for our community and for the earth, right? I mean, we didn't come here just for ourselves. In truth, that's what I believe. We came here to, you know, assist Gaia and humanity to awaken, to ascend, to move to higher dimensions, 5, 6, 7 dimensions, what we, you know, some people will be referring nowadays as the golden age or the new earth. But again, that means that we need to take responsibility for who we are, what we are, and what we are creating and attracting. And again, that takes work. But with the assistance of the masters and, you know, those higher part of us, I feel that work is really, really well supported and assisted. And yeah, to a certain degree, it's quite graceful sometimes.
Look, Shimara, I see students, you know, all around the world who have done this course, you know, the 3 levels of it twice, sometimes 3 times. And every time they do it, they learn something more about themselves. And really, this is what it's about. We come to assist the earth and humanity in some way, but we really have to assist ourselves first, because until we can do that, what are we sharing? You know, what are we really assisting with if we're still stuck in our old stories and our old beliefs and we're holding a lot of dense energy? It's very difficult if you're doing that. So you really need to come in and open that heart up. And look, I can remember, look, when my heart opened up, I cried for 18 months. When my heart opened, it was like, and I cried for 18 months. I cried at everything. And I'm not saying this is going to happen for everybody, but I did. And I was working with the masters at the time. So, you know, that vibration, everything touched me, everything really, you know, affected me. And because I was so, you know, awakened to something, to a potential that I'd never seen before. And it was so beautiful. And I think that that in itself is such a wonderful thing. You don't need to cry for 18 months, seriously, but, you know, to be able to open up your heart and really receive with a sense of willingness of receiving something greater than yourself is such a beautiful thing. So, yeah.
And that's such an important key, truly, because, you know, a lot of people do feel the call to go and work out there and help others and, you know, the planet and the animals. But in truth, you know, when we have that channel, that pillar open and clear, and we're connecting truly with the gifts of our soul, of, you know, what we have really chosen to bring forth here,
That's right.
the offering is just completely different than from us doing it from the mind, sometimes from the ego point of view of you insisting and, you know, that validation of you're doing you're changing. But when we're doing it truly because we are ready, we are called, and we can step into that, whatever who we touch or the earth when we touch it, it's completely different, and it's a long changing
That's right.
effect.
Right.
Beautiful. If we could summarize, as for example, the benefits of joining the path of light, what would you say? Like, let's pretend that we're doing
well, I think, working with the Ascended Masters is such an important gift, because they're going to activate you every week. And, you're going to receive those high frequency activations, which is certainly going to shift you. And, a lot of students get knocked out because they're just sitting there receiving these activations. So that supports you in the work. You have the gift of a facilitator like Shimara, who's done the work, he's been there, he knows the journey, and he'll support you. You have each other as students. I think that's very important. You're learning the wisdom of a spiritual journey at a very deep level. You're learning how to come out of your stories and let go your attachments to them, so that you can be free to open up to a new understanding, a new wisdom, a new way of being. You're learning tools that you can implement in your life on a regular basis to help your life to become more graceful, more full of ease and struggling and suffering. And in that, you are raising your own vibration and your own frequency. We hear stories from students who, whose family and friends say, oh my goodness, there's so much change within you. And it's not, they're judging that. They're saying, isn't this wonderful? You've opened up so much. So we see this all the time. And then, of course, many students go on to become teachers of this work or other work, because they see the benefit of sharing it. There's so much more than that, but, they're sort of the main things. And you're working every week with a spiritual group. And look, all around the world, we see this when groups really connect and do this work. I know with teachers, their students are often saying, after 3 years, they're saying, can you just start up a meditation group, because we're all so connected. We just want to connect with each other. So there's a lot of deep growth and friendship that's created from these groups with like-minded people. And I feel that supports you as well. So there's so much to be offered by this. And I would really ask you to consider, what is it you really want to do on your spiritual path? Do you want to swim on the surface, or you're willing to dive deep? It's up to you. But if you do, then talk to Shimara about this work, because it's really valuable and it will certainly change your life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would love to add to that, you truly create a deeper connection with your soul in terms of benefits.
Yes.
You learn to clear your channel a little bit, so you actually receive higher guidance, rather than connecting sometimes with our emotional center or our mind and, believing that that's higher guidance. We will certainly learn a lot of technical concepts about chakras and energy bodies, universal laws, universal rays that will assist us and give us and open our consciousness in terms of what tools are there to also support us, instead of, going not against us, but if they're playing up in our lives and we're not aware of them, it's obviously a little bit difficult to shift them. But if we're aware what universal law we're working there, we can then align more to it and call it in, so the benefits and the gift of it can support us to shift what we need to shift. We are talking about, connecting to your unique gifts, to your purpose. We're talking about, as we said throughout the course, is really all about releasing and balancing karma, upgrading your belief systems, your conditioning, bringing all those parts that are in separation and limitation back into the oneness of your heart, of your own higher consciousness. And, as you just said, by experience with your students, by my experience, by experience that I've seen in other students, it really improves our lives greatly in many, many areas of our lives.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful experience when, our family truly honor that and witness that and let us know that, because, as we said, we're doing this work primarily, mainly for us, for our own path. But when we can touch someone just, vibrationally, when they just look at us and it's like, wow, what are you eating? What are you having? What are you doing? Because, it looks, feels delicious. I want some of that. That's when we know that, the work is really, really affecting us, as we said, vibrationally. And I just love that, by experience. I had a big shift a couple of years ago with my family. And that was such kind of like, a nice hug, like a nice cuddle of, spirit saying, Shimara, keep doing, you're doing the work, and, it is worth it. And I completely believe that it's worth to, choose to do it 2.5 hours or 3 hours every week for 9 months in beautiful group with amazing teachings, and then grow. It's kind of, they take us in a little magical carpet that is grounded, but it's also flying in high vibration and consciousness.
Beautiful, yes.
And we become, those amazing goddess and goddesses that we all
Yeah.
are, because it's true. It's not an expression of, we're all one, or we're children of God. I mean, it is a fact that is the truth, the divine truth. Beautiful. Yeah. Any last words, Ishtar?
No, I think you said it all, Shimara, and I don't want to hold everyone up any longer. So I feel it's better that they just go into their hearts, receive from their guidance if you can. But if your heart's been called to this, then listen, and contact Shimara.
That's the best.
Blessings to everyone.
Thank you so much. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Guys, remember that it's only the now moment to really create shift. So sometimes we want to postpone things, but in truth, when we receive that higher guidance, that will probably say that the time is now to really create shift in our lives. Thank you, Ishtar. Love you lots. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to us. We'd love to walk the path of life with you. So keep in contact and let us know any questions that you have. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye-bye.